A British agent has disappeared in Jamaica while investigating a mysterious island in the Caribbean. To find out what happened, MI6 has sent in their best agent, James Bond, Agent 007. In his first big screen adventure, Bond must uncover the mysteries of Crab Key and stop a criminal mastermind from disrupting the U.S. space program. The film that started a 25-film franchise that continues to this day. This is 1962's Dr. No. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Austin Johnson.
And this is Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday, listeners, and welcome to episode 110 of the Filmgazm podcast. In memory of the recent passing of iconic film legend Sean Connery, we are going back to the beginning of his long and colorful career to the film that made him a superstar, the very first Bond film, Dr. No. It's a solid action flick that still mostly holds up, opens the floodgates for us to discuss the Bond franchise and Connery's career as a whole. Very excited about this one. Sean Connery was a favorite of so many. That guy was one of the biggest stars in the world, had sex appeal up into his 80s. Like, this dude was a rock star. And
yeah. No, for sure. He kind of transcends the generations, right? You have people like you and I in their 20s who still do the accent and, do the whole bit. And there's people in their 70s, 80s doing it. He really, you nailed it. He really has a lot of people. He's a fan favorite for a lot of people of all different ages. And what a career, man. 90 years he was here on Earth. And for him to die in the Bahamas seems just right for Mr. Connery. And on Halloween, this guy was just a monster.
Yeah, straight up. He was one of the highest paid stars in the world at his height. He was, picking his own scripts, getting to do whatever the hell he wanted. He was an Oscar winner, sexiest man alive, I think, twice.
Yeah.
This started, one of the most epic franchises in movie history. And up to the day he died, just completely, wholly respected by the entire industry. He was knighted, like just every accolade you could fucking think of, this guy had it.
Yeah. He from being knighted to being made fun of on Saturday Night Live, and he's okay with it. This guy. That's something we're going to talk about is his willingness to be in different kinds of movies and put himself out there, be wacky, but also be so damn serious sometimes. Man, fascinating guy to watch, and I'm so excited to keep watching movies, right? Because there's so many more that I want to see. The guy has an incredible IMDb page.
Yes, he does. Speaking of SNL, how bizarre is it that Sean Connery and Alex Trebek died within a week of each other?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, right? Trebek, a guy who fucking, ran this incredible show and taught people English through his show, right? Because, when you have a bunch of people all over the world watching it, they're just going to catch on. And that's incredible to me. And it's almost, you can look at it as sad, or you can look at it as these two guys who live this full ass life and are kind of up there together now.
I'm just picturing, like, when Alex Trebek made it to the afterlife, Sean Connery pops up around a corner and is just like, "We meet again, Trebek."
Yeah, exactly.
So great.
Yeah, let's finally have a drink.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, go to YouTube and look up SNL Celebrity Jeopardy, and you will know it's maybe the funniest sketch they ever did.
Yeah, it's up there. It's one of my favorite SNL bits for sure. Will Ferrell handles it so well.
Fantastic. So there is no rewind this week, but I would like to take this opportunity to make several announcements. First up, we have decided to remove the bonus episodes from the podcast feed. We felt the bonus episodes were not reflective of our best work. We wanted another opportunity to discuss those films as full episodes in the future, both on Filmgazm and on Oscar Sunday.
Yeah, straight up. That's us making a decision, looking back and thinking that we can do it better. So why not take it off and allow it to breathe a proper life? Films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we did a bonus on. The Lighthouse, films that for sure we have a lot more to say about, and we can fit them into a show. So yeah, it just opens up more possibilities for us and the listeners.
Yes, indeed. Those films have been put back into the book of Filmgazm for future use. But if one of them was your favorite episode, you still want to listen to them, they are still available on YouTube and on our website, filmgazm.com. So they're not gone forever. They're just gone from the Anchor feed. And, all our work is available somewhere.
Yeah. It's still alive.
Yes, it is. Second update, and this is very exciting. I'd like to announce a new member of the Filmgazm team. Her name is Julie Cervantes. She's the 5th member of the podcast production team. She'll be making her debut on the show the week of Thanksgiving later this month, and I'm very excited to have her with us.
Hell yes. From what I can tell so far, we have gotten a wonderful new member on our team, very creative and artistic and willing to watch all kinds of new stuff. And that's what we're all about. So can't wait to properly bring her on. It's going to be very soon and for a very, very good film.
Yes, indeed. She wanted to draw from the book, which I fucking appreciate so much. And yeah, she went good. We already recorded that episode. Went really well. It was fun. And I'm excited to have her with us.
Yeah, we'll release that soon. And when you told me what movie it was, I was like, oh, but who am I to question the book? The book said, this is what y'all are doing. So, but it is a very good one.
All right, killer. So on to the show. Dr. No. Prior to this show, how familiar were you with the Connery Bond films?
Not very much. I think longtime listeners know how you're a huge Bond fan, and I'm somewhere. I'm not a fan, yeah. But I'm somewhere in the middle. I've seen all the Craigs. I've seen the Brosnan ones. I've seen some of the Roger Moore. Seen some Connery. Not all of them, and I certainly would love to knock them all out. Right? I usually enjoy it. Some of the stuff is outdated. That shit comes with some of the 60s stuff and the 70s stuff. These Connery and Moore ones, there's some shit it's like whatever, but man, some of the sequences in these Sean Connery ones, in Goldfinger and Dr. No, there's just some breathtaking type chase scenes and just wonderful, wonderful stuff from Connery. This guy, we already talked about how good looking he is, 6'2", just beast of a man. And you're like, who is that? And for Dr. No to be the film we chose, that's because it started the whole Bond thing, right? And he became a superstar after that. He would have been 32 years old when that movie came out in theaters. Just incredible. And I love that we picked it. I think Goldfinger is a very, very strong film, but Dr. No is the one that started it all, right? Yeah. What about you? Where do you see, I know obviously you've seen them all. Where do you see the Connery ones? Like, where do they rank exactly? Do you have like a personal favorite?
The Connery Bond films, I think, are some of the best work the franchise ever made, mostly because they were, just kind of figuring out their groove and they were trying all sorts of stuff. They were being fairly faithful to Ian Fleming's novels. But, they were, not entirely. Shit got weird. But I think Connery's probably if I had to pick a favorite Bond, I think it is him, simply because, in my opinion, he did not have a weak film. He didn't have a Quantum. All 6 of his movies are solid watches. They're a little misogynistic and racist at times, but again, it was the 60s. This is James Bond. He's, slapping women left and right when he doesn't get what he wants. I understand that. It's it for the time. It's fucked up, but
I think in Thunderball at one point he slaps a girl's ass and actually says go to the kitchen or something. I can't remember.
No, it was that's in Goldfinger. What he does.
Okay.
He's getting a massage, and
yes.
Felix Leiter walks up and he says her name is Dink, and he says time to go, man talk, and slaps her ass and she walks away. It's
nice.
Hard to excuse that one.
Yeah, shit like that. It's not the coolest guy.
No, and Goldfinger also has a scene where he is very clearly, about to rape a woman. She's saying no. He's forcing himself on her, and then later on in the movie, she's in love with him and also not a lesbian anymore. And, 1964.
Well, yeah,
but apart from that shit, you've got these iconic villains. You've got this, the supporting cast, M, Q, Moneypenny, like mainstays of the franchise. You've got gadgets, you've got car chases, you've got, fight scenes, just epic for the 60s and 70s. And then it just continued to this day. We're still, we're waiting on the 25th film, No Time to Die. And I don't think, without the Connery era, without him at the helm, I don't think the franchise would have become as big as it did. He had this just on-screen charisma that was unrivaled.
Well, yeah, and I think what a huge thing, finding a guy who who needed something like this to explode. He's able to do a film per year, right? So the Dr. No, From Russia with Love, which is awesome, Goldfinger, Thunderball. These movies are happening fast. You Only Live Twice. They're all in the 60s, right? In this short time, and it forces people to really believe that this is Bond, and he does it. He really does it. I believe it. I believe it 100%. I haven't seen You Only Live Twice. That's the Connery one I have not seen yet, but From Russia with Love, that one's, I would say, underrated at this point.
From Russia with Love is considered one of the best of the franchise. It was JFK's favorite book, which is pretty sweet.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is, like, it's not like when you go on Sean Connery's IMDb, it's not there. But I think I think it might be the best movie overall of all those Connery ones.
A lot of people think the same way. That movie has gotten a very, very good
over time. Yeah, over time it's gotten this reevaluation, and I agree with people. I just do, but again, I guess because Goldfinger's just more popular, or when it came out. I don't know what that is.
Well, From Russia with Love was Connery's personal favorite.
Okay.
You would later actually, like, after he retired, he would go back and voice Bond in an adaptation, a video game of From Russia with Love, which is really cool. And
I forgot about that.
I know, I have that game. I tried to play it recently. The gameplay's not too great, but hearing him play Bond again is surreal.
It's pretty badass, yeah.
And Goldfinger, that film being kind of the the poster boy of the Connery Bond era, I think there's a lot of different factors to it. The iconic image of the golden girl on the bed, the Shirley Bassey's epic theme. That was the first time where, like, the Bond theme was, there was an opening song, and that started a whole trend that still continues.
Yeah.
It was the first time I think Bond was pretty ruthless in that one. It was almost like revenge for that girl. And the character of Auric Goldfinger is just like such a smarmy bad guy. And then you got Oddjob with the hat. It's just, there's so many iconic little things about Goldfinger that just pile up.
Yeah. Yeah, because it has, on Sean Connery's IMDb, it's got Untouchables, The Rock, Goldfinger, and Thunderball as those front four.
Yeah.
And I've always read and heard from movie critics that From Russia with Love is probably the best one overall. And I agree. I wish it was there.
From Russia with Love has, like, Robert Shaw is the bad guy. So already that's just...
Well, yeah, that's, me and, Connor and I, Jaws, he stole our hearts. And for him to be in this setting is so fucking cool.
Donald Grant. Just taking, brass knuckles to the chest and not flinching. Just being this cult. He's like the anti-Bond in that movie. He's cultured, he's refined, but he's a Spectre agent. That's
such a good call. Such a good call.
Yeah. I can't wait to tackle each of these films individually on this show, because I've got a lot to say about all 25 of these movies.
Yeah, no, and I'm super excited now we can properly start, and the next one will be From Russia with Love.
Yeah, we're going to do it in order. Why the fuck not?
Yeah, exactly.
So cool. Thunderball, I think, is his weakest movie, but that's no fault of his. It's just not as, big and boisterous as the other ones. It's got Adolfo Celli is the bad guy. He's Amelia Largo, number 2 in charge of Spectre. And they're stealing nuclear warheads for some reason. And it's Bond in the Bahamas and just kind of swimming and solving crimes. It's not like, it's good, but it's not great. Thunderball. Yeah. And You Only Live Twice is cool. We get our first appearance of Ernst Stavro Blofeld, played by Donald Pleasance. Bond in Japan. There is this, it does get a little racist when they try to make him a Japanese person. But other than that, it's pretty cool to see Bond in Japan. And then Diamonds Are Forever is the one where he came back after Lazenby fucked up on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And he demanded a lot of money, and he donated like all of it to charity, which is pretty sweet. And that's Bond in Vegas, with Blofeld returning for the third time, played by Charles Gray this time, my personal favorite Blofeld. But yeah, Bond in Vegas is cool. You got these two gay hitmen who are like the scariest villains in the whole franchise, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd. I love those guys. They might be my favorite villains in the franchise.
Hell yeah. Damn, that's such a wild question.
The diamond smuggling ring, there's a space laser. It's fucking crazy. A lot of people hate that one. They think that's where Bond started to get goofy, and they're right, but I have a soft spot for Diamonds Are Forever.
Hell yeah. Good. Yeah, I mean, when you're watching them over and over and you've seen them all, you're going to learn to find little things you love about them.
Yeah, they all stand out in their own way. The only one I really don't like is On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think Lazenby was miscast. I think the story's very dull. I think Telly Savalas was super miscast as Blofeld. And yeah, that one's just weak. When I rewatch the franchise, I almost always skip that one.
That's great. Yeah, I have not seen that one.
No. But yeah, Bond is one of my favorite film franchises, if you haven't figured that out already. And yeah, I love each film mostly for various reasons. I don't think what was the first one you saw? Bond.
First Bond I saw was Casino Royale.
Right on.
Like it was an organic experience where I had no idea, of course I knew he was a character, but I had no idea that there was 20 of these guys, 20 of these suckers, with various actors at the helm, all these different, like you said, iconic villains, and always an iconic female character, like on the poster and all that stuff, But when I saw Casino Royale, I saw a great film.
Right on. Yeah, that's a great movie.
I didn't see it in theaters. I was 11 when that came out. I remember watching on DVD, like at home. Probably got it at Blockbuster or something like that. Rest in peace. And it was a really solid film. That's all I could say about it. And so I was like, oh, I'm excited for the next one. Unfortunately, that one to me is just, I'm not going to even say there's things I like about it. I don't like it. I don't think it's not really even worth I don't like watching it. I don't want to rewatch it. It's just not for me. But then it gets, then it picks back up, right? And I enjoy the rest of the Craig work, and I'm really excited for No Time to Die. But after that, I would say after the Craig ones, had to be Thunderball. Had to be Thunderball or Goldfinger, because then Dr. No and From Russia with Love would have come after that, because I was like, oh, I got to see what comes before this. But I'm just watching off of popularity. You know what I mean? Not knowing much of what's going on. Like we did Live and Let Die. That was the first time I had seen that. The Roger Moore one. I haven't seen Moonraker. There's plenty of things I need to watch, but it must have been after the Craig ones. It must have been Thunderball or Goldfinger that I went back to.
Yeah. Cool, man. That's interesting. I started with a film that's pretty reviled in the Bond franchise, Die Another Day.
Oh yeah, the Brosnan ones, right? Those were definitely on TV. Yeah, like my 12 to 15, right? Like they're on TNT all the time. Yeah.
My uncle got it for me for DVD for my birthday. And I had never seen the Bond movies. I'd heard about them. I knew he was a fan, and I watched Die Another Day, and I was like, this is really cool. Like, people don't like this. I was like, I thought The Invisible Car was cool. I liked Brosnan. I thought Halle Berry was super hot. I was like, who is not enjoying this? And then I looked into it.
You thought Halle Berry was super hot? Halle Berry is super hot.
I knew. But I thought it was like,
she's stunning. Yeah.
I looked into it and I was like, there's a bunch of these. And then for Christmas, I got, there were these collections they released for the 20th or like the 40th anniversary of Bond. It was the first 20 movies in 4 different collections. They weren't in order, which was amazing to me. I was like, why did you do that? But I got volume 1 and 4 for Christmas. And then my uncle got 2 and 3. So I marathoned the Bond movies. And yeah, I liked most of them. It took me a while to really like warm up to some of them, like For Your Eyes Only and The Spy Who Loved Me. I did not like them at first. It took a few years for me to appreciate those. But yeah, here I am now. I know almost everything about 24 of them. I haven't seen No Time to Die yet, but 24 of them. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this franchise.
Yeah, I think the Brosnan ones are, they're not looked at as these masterpieces or anything, but for sure for people our age, in their 20s and 30s, those would be the ones they've probably seen the most, just because they were on TV all the time and they're just in your conscious. That's when they came out. Yeah. But for me, just as I've gotten older, bigger picture, Brosnan is just not Bond for me. I like the little bit of grit that Connery has. I like the grit that Craig has, and Brosnan, I'm like, yeah, you're too pretty. Doesn't make any sense. I like the gruffness to Connery, and Brosnan just doesn't bring it for me.
Well, there's this side of Bond that I think Roger Moore and Brosnan didn't capture, which is, he's this handsome, educated man, but he's also a cold-blooded killer for the British government. Like, that's the part that I think gets more attention with Connery and Craig and Dalton, is they are playing this conflicted character who, loves women, loves Bollinger, loves to, explore the world, but is constantly holding the world on his shoulders, knowing that he's the last line of defense between England and the terrorists of the world. And I think Connery pulled that off really well. That balance is essential to the character of James Bond.
Yeah, that's such a good point, man. I love your passion for this franchise. I don't even know if I have a franchise. I love Lord of the Rings, but then you attach The Hobbit to that and it just kind of fucks with it. So I love that you have this admiration for this entire, you find a way to love it. That's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait I can't wait till we get to the Dalton films, because those films are highly underrated.
I haven't seen them.
License to Kill is in my top 10. Like that movie.
I've heard it's legit. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's Bond on a vengeance quest, like straight up. He lights a dude on fire. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. No, see, yeah, that's the kind of Bond I like. I like a Bond that's got that fuck you to them. So I'm wicked excited that now it's open. It's fair play now. Bond is fair play for Filmgazm.
We like doing shit in order here, and now we can do the Bond franchise.
Yes.
Okay. Back to Dr. No. Dr. No was based on the 1958 novel of the same name by Bond creator Ian Fleming. Chronologically, Dr. No is Fleming's sixth 007 adventure. Casino Royale was the first, followed by Live and Let Die, Moonraker, Diamonds Are Forever, From Russia with Love, and then Dr. No. So the films were not made in his order. They were just picking titles and kind of messing with the plot to just make it fit for a movie. Eventually, like Moonraker, the book, has nothing to do with Bond in space. They just did that for the movie because they needed something to rival Star Wars.
Isn't That's exactly right. That's exactly. Isn't Casino Royale the actual first book ever?
Yeah, it's Bond's first book. It's Ian Fleming's first book.
Okay, that is for sure. Okay. That's I thought I read that. Okay, I was just making sure.
Began with that, and they didn't make a movie out of that one because they made a parody movie in 1967 with Peter Sellers, Woody Allen, and David Niven playing various versions of James Bond in this horribly misguided comedy that I've never seen because I know it's gonna fucking suck. And,
that's so sad.
Yeah, it took them years to finally adapt Casino Royale, and when they did, it's one of the best Bond films they ever did. The creation of the Bond franchise is really owed mostly to producers Harry Saltzman and Albert Cubby Broccoli. When they got the film rights to Dr. No, nobody really wanted to do it. Hollywood said no. They found the character of James Bond, quote, too British or too blatantly sexual. Hollywood was like, this guy's too British to be an American movie star, which is crazy. And unbelievable. Hollywood, man, always just fucking shit up. They ended up joining with the British production company United Artists, and the rest is history. United Artists has produced almost all of the Bond franchise until MGM got involved.
Yeah.
Dr. No was directed by Terrence Young, who hadn't really done anything that significant prior to the film. He was hired mostly because he was willing to play ball with the producers. He was an up-and-coming director who was like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. Don't fire me. Young would go on to direct the Bond films From Russia with Love and Thunderball, as well as the horror classic Wait Until Dark.
Okay.
And Young died in 94 at age 79 from a heart attack.
God damn. That's interesting that you said he's an up-and-coming when this came around. But it makes sense that he followed it up because all these films, you feel like you're in good hands here. I wouldn't have thought that producers were in control of Dr. No. I think there's some pretty impressive sequences and some pretty kick-ass scenes in Dr. No, and of course in the movies that follow.
I agree with you, but the Bond franchise has always been heavily producer controlled. After Albert Broccoli died, his daughter Barbara took over the reins of the franchise. She still runs it now, and it's always been like the producers pick the director, they pick the actors. It's like the director has very little control over the Bond franchise.
That's fine if it works.
It's interesting because like up until Skyfall, really, Sam Mendes, like there aren't any really notable directors in the Bond franchise. It's all people who are willing to deal with the producers.
Yeah, exactly. That's so fascinating that there hasn't been more big time British directors or whatever it may be. Like, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah, it is it's wild. I mean,
that's
honestly,
hilarious.
I can't name any off the top of my head. Guy Hamilton comes to mind, but that's only because I know he did Goldfinger. Like nobody else really. I can't tell you who directed The Living Daylights or Goldeneye. Like none of that. Who knows?
No, I obviously have no idea.
Yeah, kind of weird. So to play James Bond, this was a heavily vetted process. The producers had big faith in this idea, and Saltzman and Broccoli initially their first choice was Cary Grant.
Huh?
And, 60s Cary Grant.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean he was already older. He's pushing I think he was in his 50s or 60s around 1962.
Yeah, let me see here. Yeah.
And the only reason he said no is because Cary Grant was only willing to commit to one film. And the producers wanted somebody who could carry a franchise.
Well, yeah, he was 58.
Yeah, man. 58-year-old James Bond in the first movie, this never would have worked. Cary Grant does not have that cold-blooded mentality that Connery has.
Cary Grant, of course, Charade, North by Northwest, To Catch a Thief, His Girl Friday. This is kind of blowing my mind.
Cary Grant's an amazing actor, but he never would have worked as Bond.
Well, 58 years old, I have a hard time. So this would have been the year before Charade, 1962. Charade's 1963. I don't see it.
You would later, after the film came out, Cary Grant did express like that this was one of the passing on Bond was maybe the biggest mistake of his career. He did say that.
Yeah, but it's so good for us that Connery was the guy they started with.
Well, I love like that these two guys, Saltzman and Broccoli, they were pushing for a franchise. This was 1962. Franchises did not exist. This was not something that happened usually. Sequels were rare, very rare at the time. So they were very ahead of their time with this whole thing.
Man, that's crazy, dude. I really had no idea about that. And Cary Grant is a guy that we could shout out on Oscar Sunday one day. This guy's got a couple nominations and he got an honorary award in 1970. So shit, that would have been huge. That would have really popped. The movie already made, so much money off such a little budget, but I wonder how much higher the budget would have been if Cary Grant's in it.
They definitely, needed somebody who's going to bring in some money, a seat filler. And Cary Grant was big, was a big name. Would have been a good one for them. And they wanted him. It was his, he's the one who turned it down. Like they were going to go ahead with this if Cary Grant said yes.
Wow.
Imagine what the film, because Connery, he set the mold for James Bond. He set the standard. Like this is who James Bond is. If it had been Cary Grant, who are the actors who would have emulated him further on in the franchise?
Yeah, it could have become this character that only lasts, an actor only lasts a couple films because he's always in his late 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
Changes. Then maybe, De Niro plays. not him specifically, but guys like that, that age, like that'd be so bizarre, I I'm glad it happened the way it did.
Yeah, for sure. And the only way it happened that way is because this young Scottish upstart named Sean Connery showed up to the audition looking kind of scruffy and disheveled. His clothes were all, all over the place. He had a beard, but his attitude impressed the producers, and he won the role. Like they liked this guy. They liked that he brought kind of a rugged manliness to the role. They brought him to Savile Row. They got him a tailor. They got him a haircut and a shave, and they turned him into James Bond and made him look the part. And after he looked the part, they were like, this is the guy.
Okay, yeah. So exactly what you just said. They essentially morphed this guy who has the attitude, has the stature, has the build, has the attitude for Bond. They just got to make the appearance right. And that's what they did. They morphed their own character.
They did. They 100% made this guy from scratch. And Ian Fleming did not like Sean Connery for the role, because traditionally in the novel, Bond is he's an upper crust Londonite who had an educated upbringing, and he just is a very educated, English man, whereas Sean Connery comes from a working class Scottish upbringing. So he's kind of the exact opposite of book Bond. But after seeing the movie, Ian Fleming was like, you know what? There's something to this.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, fantastic. Connery would play Bond in 6 canonical films: Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Diamonds Are Forever. He would also play Bond in one unofficial film, 1983's Never Say Never Again, an unofficial remake of Thunderball. And Connery did this because he was never 100% satisfied with his performance in Thunderball, so he remade Thunderball himself without using any of the other Bond characters because he did not have the rights to them. He was able to use James Bond, but Blofeld is there for some reason. Like they were, all right. To tell that story, I have to tell this story.
Hell yes.
The people who own the rights to James Bond and M and Moneypenny and Spectre and all that. Well, not Spectre, but everything else. There's them. A certain group, I don't know who, I think maybe the Fleming estate owned the film rights to specifically Spectre and Ernst Stavro Blofeld. That's why Spectre wasn't immediately front and center when Casino Royale came out, despite the constant, alluding to this organization that is running the terrorism. They couldn't call it Spectre. That's why the whole quantum thing came up. And they finally worked out a deal in 2015 when Spectre came out. But prior to that, they were hands off for the longest time after Diamonds Are Forever. And Never Say Never Again, Connery worked with them to use Spectre and Blofeld in that movie, but M and Moneypenny and Q could not be in there because they didn't own the rights to those characters.
Ah, okay.
It's a very complex situation. And that came out the same year as the Roger Moore Bond film Octopussy. And I think Octopussy beat it at the box office.
Wow.
I think. I'm not entirely sure about that. But it's just weird that there's this kind of fake Bond film walking around out there.
Incredible. Just, a little artifact out there.
Yeah, I've never seen Never Say Never Again. It's like the only piece of Bond, apart from that shitty Casino Royale movie, that I haven't really, looked into. Maybe it's time.
Fascinating, man. God, that's crazy. Well, they're able to hold off and still make a couple movies in between, so it was okay.
You know who plays Blofeld in that movie? Max von Sydow.
Oh, there you go. Another rest in peace.
Yeah, man. It's weird because it's the same exact plot as Thunderball, but there's no Largo, there's no Domino. It's just the characters they were allowed to use.
God damn.
Wild. Connery would win an Oscar for his performance in 1987's The Untouchables. Was one of the most respected actors in Hollywood. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth in 1999. Connery retired from acting in 2003, and he passed away in his sleep this past Halloween at the age of 90. And that's the way I want to go. 90 years old, a lived life in my sleep in the Bahamas.
On Halloween.
Goddamn. Swiss model Ursula Andress was cast as Honey Rider, the first Bond girl. Andress would later play Vesper Lind in the 1967 Bond parody film Casino Royale.
Fucking shit.
She would also appear in the 1981 fantasy epic Clash of the Titans as Aphrodite, goddess of love. But other than that, she hasn't really done much over her career. She was a model who was discovered in, get this, a wet T-shirt picture that was sent to the producers.
Fantastic.
And they were like, "She's hot. Let's put her in a bikini the whole movie, and have her follow James Bond around for the second half of the movie." Oh, yeah. The first Bond girl does not exactly, scream, women's lib. She's not exactly that progressive. She's kind of a window dressing.
Yeah, very, very much. Tough, right? If you're a female who loves films and you're trying to have some relatability, you're not really going to find it here, and that kind of sucks because she very much just kind of goes with the flow and doesn't really have much ambition, and it's kind of frustrating when the female character, like you said, just kind of follows him around. Fucking annoying. It
took so long for there to be a Bond girl on equal footing with James Bond. I mean, part 2 from Russia with Love, Tatiana Romanova is a straight up groupie. Like, she's like, "Oh my God, it's James Bond. I love everything you do. I'm going to follow you around forever because I love you." Like,
yeah.
And then, Pussy Galore, the name alone tells you all you need to know. And then Thunderball, it's Domino, who is getting there in the right direction. You Only Live Twice. It's a Japanese wife he is given. Then Majesty's Secret Service is about the first Bond girl who really started to have some substance. Tracy DiVincenzo is the daughter of a mob lord that Bond falls in love with and actually marries before Blofeld fucks it all up. And then in Diamonds Are Forever, he's dating a diamond smuggler who's kind of a bitch. So it's give and take over the course of the franchise. It's one step forward, 2 steps back with the Bond girls. Just wait till you get to Moonraker and you meet Holly Goodhead.
This is where I would like to bring up Austin Powers, and how that trilogy obviously is making fun of and having all kinds of fun with the Bond stuff and "Fook you, fook me," and I've won a hump a lot, all that stuff. And I saw that stuff before I saw Bond, so I was just like, this is really funny. I have no idea what's going on. And then now it's really, really funny.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm in the same boat. I saw Austin Powers before I saw the Bond movies, and then just noticed little things. Like, I couldn't believe there's an actual character in a serious movie named Pussy Galore.
Yeah,
that sounds too obvious for like a Bond porn parody.
Yeah, it's too on the nose.
Yeah, straight up. Oh my God. Well, yeah, the history of the Bond, there actually is a really good documentary called Bond Girls Are Forever that's included in those Bond collections. And it's Miriam Diabo, who plays Cara Malovi in The Living Daylights, goes to various Bond girls throughout the franchise and talks to them about their experience as a Bond girl and like living, after the movie. And it's very fascinating to see that. He talks to she talks to Ursula Andress and Honor Blackman and Halle Berry and Eva Green, I think, maybe, or it might have been before Casino Royale. But it's a very, very good documentary. I recommend checking that out.
That's really cool. Yeah, kind of get a perspective that the movies weren't giving you. So, fascinating. That is got to be an interesting thing to live with at the time, knowing what it means to be a Bond girl, what it is, and how it is kind of a tough conversation, and always will be.
Yeah, even today, when they're casting a Bond girl, they don't tend to look at, acting talent or character development. They tend to go for models and window dressing and women who look hot on camera. It's like the one part of the film industry that is not budging when it comes to, the Me Too movements. It's very strange.
Extremely. I do. I think Eva Green, you mentioned her a moment ago. I think that's a really, really cool choice. And I thought she just kicked ass. Like, fuck, she was amazing in that movie.
True. But then 2 movies later, you've got, I don't even remember her name, the girl that Bond, goes into the shower on the boat to have sex with, and then she gets shot on Silva's Island without any development whatsoever.
Yeah, what is her name? Let's see. I'm looking right now. Well, I do love me some Naomi Harris. She's a wonderful actress.
See, I don't count her as a Bond girl. I count
she's
her.
not. She's not.
He's a Bond ally. I have categories.
Just like you're right. I just love her.
She's awesome.
Berenice Marlowe.
Yeah, there you go. Like, for example, The World Is Not Enough, 1999. Electra King. She's the Bond girl for most of the movie until it's revealed she's the villain. Then she's not the Bond girl anymore. Denise Richards fucking Christmas Jones is the Bond girl. So yeah, I don't know. I might not, I'm probably alone in this camp, but I have different, rankings and considerations for who's considered what.
Oh no, I think that makes total sense. That's 100% right. Because you can't, each film has one Bond girl.
That's not necessarily true. There are some with
until the
2 or 3.
Until the plot tells you otherwise, till it's the villain.
That's true. Like, for example, the License to Kill has 2.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is there one more prominent than the other?
Pam Bouvier is the CIA agent who's tasked with helping Bond out. So I would count her as the Bond girl, but Lupe Lamora is the girl trying to escape.
Yes.
She might be from Moonraker. I might be getting my girls crossed here. But yeah.
There's a lot. There's over 25, so.
Yes, indeed. Let's talk villains. Joseph Wiseman was cast as Dr. Julius No, the first Bond villain and our introduction into the covert world of Spectre. Wiseman also appeared in such films as Viva Zapata, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and Lawman. Wiseman died in 2009 at age 91 from an undisclosed illness, and it has taken my entire life and this one last recent viewing to realize he is not an Asian actor. Joseph Wiseman is a Canadian wearing yellowface. So, yeah, found that out. Kind of put a little black mark on this movie.
Yeah. Because I was like, who is playing him? When I was rewatching it, I was on my phone, I was in IMDb, and I was like, I am so confused right now. And then I looked a little closer at the screen, and I was like, oh, holy fuck!
It's amazing what HD can do. Am I right?
Yeah, well, yeah. You let me borrow your Blu-ray for this one, so yeah, I saw it clear as day. What in the world? What kind of a decision? Ridiculous, right? What kind of a decision is that?
Well, it's better than the original decision of the first screenwriter who wanted to make Dr. No a monkey. So I'll take the yellow-faced Canadian over the fucking monkey.
Then again, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
I can't believe I've never noticed. I mean, I feel fucking terrible that I noticed just now. I've seen this movie like 15 times. And now I'm like,
this is my second time seeing it. Yeah.
Wow.
Joseph Wiseman. That is definitely, like you said, it's a little bit of a mark on the film. Kind of, there's the producers fucking up a bit there.
I'm fairly certain it's not the last racist moment in the Bond franchise. Well, obviously, Sean Connery becomes Japanese. But other than that,
yeah, they just put like a wig on him. Yeah. Like
bowl cut wig, a little bit of eyeshadow, and a kimono, and you've got a Japanese Sean Connery.
Nope.
God, just saying it out loud, I can't fucking believe that happened.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
But as uncomfortable as Dr. No looks now, he set the standard for an incredible legacy of Bond villains. And some of the best villains in movie history came out of the Bond franchise. Just in the Connery era, you've got Rosa Klebb and Donald Grant from Russia with Love. You've got Auric Goldfinger in Odd Job. You've got Largo. You've got Ernst Stavro Blofeld, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, Irma Bunt, Dr. Kananga. Like, it's just Francisco Scaramanga. It never ends. You've got actors like Christopher Lee and Robert Carlyle and Mads Mikkelsen, Javier Bardem, Sean Bean, Joe Don Baker, Robert Davi, like some great character actors really sink their teeth into a Bond villain role. And it is great. I can't wait to see Rami Malek do it. It's looking great.
yeah, man. Rattled off a lot of names, and I love that. That many cool cool dudes have been like, hey, I want to do this. I want to tackle it. It's something to go after. For me, I've always looked at Javier Bardem. He's just that kind of ghostly look that he has. Oh man, I am a sucker for that. That performance is something else.
Silva was killer. He was a great bad guy for the Bond era. He was like Bond's Joker almost. Like it was a great.
Yeah. Very, very unhinged and just frightening without having to say much. Yeah.
One of my all-time favorites is Christopher Lee's Francisco Scaramanga from The Man with the Golden Gun.
Christopher Lee is just a legend. God, I didn't really, when you just kind of lay it out like that, these are some huge character actors.
Yeah, man. Awesome. He's got one of my favorite villain lines in the franchise because the whole point of that movie is Scaramanga wants to kill James Bond because Scaramanga believes himself to be the greatest assassin on the planet. So he needs to kill Bond to prove that to himself. So he traps Bond on his island and has a duel with Bond. Bond has his Walther. Scaramanga has his golden gun, handmade with only one bullet. And Bond tells him, like, do you want more bullets? My Walther against yours. Do you want more bullets? Like, you just have the one. And Scaramanga goes, I only need one, and walks away. I mean, later on, of course, he lost, but still, that like the epicness of that line always stuck with me.
Oh yeah, even if you lose, that's such a cool line. That confidence is awesome.
Fucking Christopher Walken played a Bond villain. Max Zorin, View to a Kill, and he is the best part of that movie.
Oh, for sure. And the villain really does steal the show. These movies, they'll come in and just fucking, go at the Bond character, go at this, oh, you this pretty boy, I'm gonna come at you, and I love that kind of rivalry with all of these different villains. But Connery is, I don't believe he can ever lose.
True.
He's never. I never feel like he's threatened. This guy is too goddamn strong, too tall, too good looking. I never feel like there's times where the Daniel Craig ones, you're like, this guy's fucked. This guy's truly fucked. Mads Mikkelsen, he really messes with him,
Yeah, Le Chiffre is one of my top 5 favorites of the franchise. He's cold-blooded.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very keen on the Craig one. So Bardem and Mikkelsen kind of take it away for me. I think they both are wonderful.
So you haven't seen You Only Live Twice, Majesty's Secret Service, or Diamonds Are Forever?
Yeah, I've never seen any of those.
So Christoph Waltz is your only look into Ernst Stavro Blofeld.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Very interesting to have that be your only Blofeld. See, I saw
Christoph Waltz kind of takes over a lot of villainous roles for me, and I just imagine him.
Yeah, fair enough. But to see that, like, knowing the legacy behind it, knowing Donald Pleasance, Telly Savalas, and Charles Gray's take on this character, Christoph Waltz, I felt, was a little bit more comic booky, egomaniacal than those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like his performance. I wish they hadn't made him like Bond's stepbrother or something. I thought that
was weird turn.
But, I'm excited to see what they do with Blofeld in the next movie. Waltz will be the only guy to play him twice.
That's pretty special. That shows a lot of respect.
Yeah, for sure. Jack Lord would be the first actor to play Bond's CIA friend Felix Leiter, a recurring character throughout the franchise. Lord would later be known for his role as Steve McGarrett on the long-running cop drama Hawaii Five-0. He appeared in a lot of TV bit parts over the years before his death in 1998 at age 77 from congestive heart failure. And Jack Lord was recast in the next Bond film that Leiter appeared in. I think it was Goldfinger, because they thought Jack Lord might be a little bit more handsome than Sean Connery, and they couldn't have anybody upstaging James Bond in the looks department.
That's hilarious. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And he's kind of he's not a really significant character in Dr. No. He's just kind of there. That's mostly because Leiter's not in the book. They kind of just put him in here. And if I had to pick, like, over the course of the franchise, I think Jeffrey Wright does a great job as Leiter, but I think my favorite Leiter story is probably License to Kill, because he's Like that's his most significant role in any of these stories.
Yeah.
He gets fucked up royally, and that's why Bond's out for revenge, because these guys like tried to kill Leiter, and it was a whole thing. But,
Fuck yeah.
Killer. There's been different actors the whole time. I can't name any of them because they're all like 70s guys who've never really did anything else.
TV people, yeah.
He doesn't pop in at all in the Brosnan era. There's no Leiter in the Brosnan era. Mostly because, we're supposed to think from Connery to at least Brosnan, maybe not Craig, but Connery to Brosnan, we're supposed to think this is the same guy on all these adventures. It's the same Bond. So in this universe, Leiter is missing his legs and is probably retired.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Bernard Lee became the first actor to portray M, head of the 00 section and Bond's boss. Lee would play M in 11 Bond movies before his death in 1981 at age 73 from stomach cancer. And he died while he was prepping his performance in the next role. He was not going to stop. Bernard Lee loved playing M.
God, man, that's incredible. I didn't know it was that many.
As much as I love Ralph Fiennes and Judi Dench, Bernard Lee is my M. He's my favorite M. I think he's the perfect upper crust British boss. I love him. And his dedication to Bond is perfect. Like, you get that whole mutual respect thing between him and Connery, and then more. Bernard Lee is one of the unsung heroes of this franchise.
Fuck yeah. What a call. I love that shout out. Extremely important to get that casting right.
Yes, straight up. Speaking of casting, Lois Maxwell became the first actress to portray Miss Moneypenny, M's secretary and constant source of flirtation for Bond. Maxwell would play Moneypenny in 14 films before being replaced by Caroline Bliss during the Dalton era. She passed away in 2007 at age 80 from bowel cancer. But Lois Maxwell stayed there like through the Moore era. And that's pretty admirable.
Amazing. Yeah, you go through 2 full decades.
And Naomi Harris is definitely the actress who got to play the most well-developed Moneypenny in terms of character. Caroline Bliss and Samantha Bond, I thought both didn't really add much to the character beyond just, in love with Bond and throwing out flirtations. Whereas Lois Maxwell did that too, but you always got this idea that like Bond respected her too much to do anything.
Oh, man.
And we don't meet Q till From Russia with Love. He didn't pop in Dr. No. So Desmond Llewellyn would be in From Russia with Love and then would do it all the way to The World Is Not Enough.
Incredible.
And he was going to keep going, but he died in a car accident. And which is kind of crazy. And they prepped John Cleese to be his replacement. And I wish so much we gotten to see more John Cleese as Q. He was so good in Die Another Day. I wish he'd gotten to stay on and do more.
Oh, man.
Anthony Dawson plays the dubious Professor Dent, Dr. No's lackey who keeps failing to kill Bond. Dawson would later portray the body and voice of Spectre mastermind Ernst Stavro Blofeld in From Russia with Love and Thunderball, before Donald Pleasance would portray him in his entirety in You Only Live Twice. Dawson died in 92 at age 75 from an undisclosed form of cancer. But I think it's cool that this guy played the body of Blofeld in 2 more movies. Like, they had a plan. That's really cool. Like, they hint at, they talk about Spectre in this one. You meet Blofeld's body in part 2. The whole reason From Russia with Love happens is because they want revenge for Bond taking out Dr. No. It is a full-on franchise. I love that.
Quickly.
Very quickly. Like, there's a year gap between these movies from 62 to 65. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking kick-ass.
And this guy is such a slimy, smarmy little shit. Professor Dent. Just, I don't like him at all.
No, little bastard. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, John Kitzmiller plays one of Bond's earliest allies, Quarrel the Fisherman. Kitzmiller worked on a lot of Italian movies in his career and was the first black person to win a Best Acting Award at Cannes for the 1956 movie Valley of Peace.
Hell yeah.
I thought that was a really cool little tidbit.
Hell yeah, that's wonderful. I see he died really young.
Yeah, 51 from cirrhosis of the liver. Guy was a heavy drinker.
Yeah, goddamn.
I know. Ursula Andress is the only person left from this film. Yeah, and she's in her, I think, 90s now, so it's probably going to happen soon.
That's crazy, man.
Unbelievable. Dr. No has an IMDb score of 7.2, Rotten Tomatoes score of 95%. It was a huge hit, grossing nearly $60 million on a budget of only $1 million. Sparked a franchise fire that's been burning for nearly 60 years, turned Sean Connery into a star, and elevated the spy movie subgenre to new heights it could only dream of. And here we are, still talking about this film, nearly 60 years later.
God damn, man. That's crazy.
So let's talk about it. Dr. No. So this film is set mostly in Jamaica, which is where Ian Fleming wrote a good chunk of the Bond films at his home, Goldeneye, which is now a resort and writing room for aspiring writers. I would love to go and write something at Goldeneye.
That'd be amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it would be surreal. But what do you think of the Jamaican atmosphere and the music and how this film kind of establishes Jamaica?
Culturally, I think it takes its shots, and I think it's fine in some parts, and other times it totally misses. But what I do love about the use of the locations is the actual, meat of the movie when they have to use the water to go underwater, and while people are looking for them with guns and dogs, and slowly drift through the water and get in this canoe. Those things, using the location of Jamaica, I think that's a big part of why this movie's so exciting and why it moves so well. And when you have him in a car chase in Jamaica, with him just kind of looking awesome right behind the wheel, and Jamaica's behind him, it looks beautiful. But as far as like really using the country within the plot, I don't think it's super essential, but I think they use the locations extremely well.
True. One of the best things about the Bond franchise is how, global it is. Bond goes to so many different locations in those 25 movies. And Jamaica is a freaking flyer. He's going back to Jamaica in No Time to Die. One thing I really want to talk about is the iconic theme developed by John Barry, the Bond theme. We all know what it is. And
right away.
Yeah, I think it sets the tone for an exciting thriller. And John Barry would score almost all the Bond movies. Dr. No, I think all the way up to A View to a Kill. And he was just such a rock star. He gave each Bond film that he did its own unique sound and flavor, but still had that, ongoing connector of the Bond theme. And I mean, that's just epic.
It's extremely epic. Music is huge for you and I in films. On Oscar Sunday, we have a whole award dedicated to the music within the film we choose. And for them to start off so strong with that, and for it to not falter is remarkable, is like cinematic, greatness. Deserves awards just for it being so strong for nearly 60 years. Yeah. This music it hasn't skipped a beat. I still get amped when I hear it. It's one of the coolest ways to know. You can be in the kitchen doing something, and when that comes on, you know exactly what's on the screen, and you just want to sit down and watch it. It has this intoxicating vibration to it. God, I love that theme. It's also really funny in times to play it. Maybe when you're in the car, like on the way to work, you're trying to get there on time. And I love that. I love that. That's been a part of it the whole time. It's kind of just the staple. Love that.
Yeah. I mean, in most of the Bond films, the first thing you hear is the Bond theme. You get the circles across the screen. You see Bond walking in the gun barrel. He turns and shoots. Blood drips. That's the beginning of all 25 movies. That is, except for the Craig era, a few of those they put it at the end of the movie, but still, it's in all of the movies, and it sets the tone. It's like you are in for a James Bond adventure. Like it's a signature of like, this is not an action movie. This is a James Bond movie.
Yes, exactly. You didn't just come to see, some garbage crime movie or some boring B grade this or that. Yeah, you came to see Bond. It's an event each time. I love that.
Hell yeah, man. So are there any significant like moments or like little things you want to bring up in Doctor No that like stood out to you?
Well, like I said, I really do. I get wicked excited in those moments of Connery leading the way through literally wading through the water, and then at times going underwater to avoid fucking being shot. But I did want to bring up how much of a bitch Dr. No is, how he goes out. Come on. Come on. Anticlimactic. I didn't remember it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, he's this, the build up to Dr. No is pretty, substantial. I mean, we open with these people in Jamaica assassinating British officers just so they can get their hands on his file. Like, this guy means something. This guy's significant. And then we meet him and he's got like, like robotic claws from fucking around with radiation. He's got, it made me think so much of Dr. Evil and his whole, like, his son being like, what are you feeding him? Why don't you just shoot him? Like that whole thing.
Exactly. So good.
Nobody like inhabits that trope like Dr. No. It came from him because he is just sitting down to dinner with James Bond and explaining his whole fucking plan and telling him about this organization of terrorists that Bond knew nothing about. Dr. No is just spilling the beans on the most secretive organization in the world just for fucking dinner conversation.
Yeah, why'd you spill your beans, Winslow?
Oh my God.
Fucking A.
It's ridiculous. And I do like that we have this kind of thread of Spectre throughout the Connery era.
Oh, and, for sure. It's a brilliant touch because you're always wondering, oh, there's something larger. Yeah.
Yeah. Special executive. Oh, God damn. I always fuck this up. I always try to do this off the top of my head, and I always mess up the. God damn it. I'm going to Google it.
Spectre.
Okay.
Special
executive for counterintelligence, terrorism, revenge, and extortion. There we go. That's Spectre.
All right.
And they're kind of the bad guys behind the scenes of all the Connery ones except Goldfinger. And but I don't know. Goldfinger was, he was rich. He was a power player. I think he might have been a Spectre agent.
Oh, very, very, very possible.
Yeah. But we get to see Bond kind of dismantle that organization, and then we never see them again until the Craig era, where they got to bring them back. But we do kind of see Blofeld again in the Roger Moore era. For Your Eyes Only opens with a Blofeld lookalike controlling a helicopter to kill Bond. He's bald. He's got a cat. But they never call him Blofeld because legally they couldn't, because they didn't have the rights to the character at the time. But
God damn.
I know. It's a mess.
Truly, it's amazing if you don't do the research. You just like, whatever, we'll buff out those scratches later.
Have you ever played the game GoldenEye Rogue Agent?
No, I'm not a big video game. I'm pretty basic when it comes to video games. Well, is it a good game?
It's a PS2 game from like the early 2000s where you play an MI6 agent who fucked up and got James Bond killed.
Whoa.
You're kicked out of MI6. You are then recruited by Auric Goldfinger to help him take down Dr. No.
That's kind of cool.
It is bitchin' because Scaramanga is in it. Christopher Lee voices him. Oh. And there's random appearances from Bond villains and Bond supporting characters, and it's the most fucking cool fan service video game I've ever played.
That's so kick-ass.
It's really cool.
God damn, I love that. I love that idea. Bond just not being there, and
because you fucked up and you got him killed on a mission.
Yeah, you got to pick up the pieces. Yeah. Oh,
that was shit. A fun game. Yeah,
that's a film right there. That's a fucking film. I mean, they can't do it because you got to have Bond to keep the thing going. But well, what if isn't Bond maybe going to be a woman? Is that right? That's something I've read? Is that actually true?
They've talked about it, but no, I don't think they will. There is an actress in the new one who's playing a female 007. But
the girl, the girl from Captain Marvel, what's her name?
Something Lynch, I think.
Lashana Lynch. Yeah.
There we go. She's playing the new 007, but the character of James Bond, I think, will always be a man.
Okay, so she's interesting.
Because Bond's retired, so there's a new 00.
So she's gonna. So do you think Lashana Lynch could be the lead of one of the films?
Not a chance in hell.
No. So you think another man will come along and be the new James Bond? What if he's retired though? What's going on there?
Well, I think they're going to do what they did when Craig took over from Brosnan, a soft reboot. I think that's what they'll do when the new.
No, I know Daniel Craig is retiring. I thought you were saying James Bond within the franchise is retiring. I was like, how does that make sense?
Well, so in No Time to Die, since it's Craig's final film, the vibe I got from the preview is that Bond ran away with Léa Seydoux and has been kind of fucking around in the Bahamas, and then somebody comes to get him and is like, hey, Blofeld wants to talk to you, we need you back. He comes back, and the 007 position in MI6 has been taken by Lashana Lynch. She's the new 007, and James Bond is just some guy who's like a consultant now, and then he gets drawn into the mission.
So it's James Bond and 007.
That's the vibe I'm getting from the preview. Again, I don't know because the movie's not out.
That makes a lot more sense. And then once Craig is done, they'll find a new guy, Idris Elba, and then
Tom Hardy,
and then they'll move along. And but Lashana Lynch could still be 007 within that.
I don't think they would. I think that. I think the Craig era is going to be pretty self-contained, I think, because we can't do that anymore, where we can just do a sequel with a new lead actor and expect everybody to just say, oh, that's the same character. We could do that in the 60s. I don't think we can do that anymore, not with a lot of angry, confused people. So I think what they got to do is a soft reboot, new cast, start from scratch, James Bond. I would love James Bond back in the 60s, but like made now. Like Tom Hardy is, 60s Bond. I would do something like that.
Whoa, that would be like started over essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
That would be very cool. If you could get Paul Thomas Anderson to direct a like 1960s set piece Bond film, oh my God. That'd be a dream. That would be a dream.
I would love to see in a few years. I don't think now. I think he's too young. But in 10 years, Robert Pattinson would be an amazing Bond, and you have Christopher Nolan direct because he's been wanting to do that for years, and you have a Bond film that will change the world.
Well, yeah, they could be like, hey, let's just do Tenet, but actually do it again. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, Tenet without the time travel, and you got James Bond.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great call. Robert Pattinson can clearly do kind of anything in front of the camera, but that's such an interesting one. I've always thought that they should. Enough white guys have gotten it. I think they should change the entire ethnicity of the character. Like you said, keep him British. That's what you got to do for Bond. But I think changing the ethnicity would be really cool because it's been a white guy for a long time now.
Well, you brought up, I don't remember what episode this was or what the context was, but I remember you bringing up Henry Golding.
That, to me, would be the coolest choice. But you said earlier, you got to put asses in seats. And from I don't know.
But in 2006, nobody knew who the fuck Daniel Craig was.
That's true. He was more of like an underground, like Road to Perdition. Have you seen that? Yeah.
And in 1962, nobody knew who the fuck Sean Connery was. So sometimes you need a franchise starter with somebody new to give them a chance and make them a star. And I think Henry Golding's already got some street cred with Crazy Rich Asians and The Gentleman. So I think he could do it. He would be an interesting like left field choice. But I think right now the front runner is Tom Hardy.
Yeah. See, to me, that's like the same guy that they've had for the past 60 years. It's like, let's get someone. I love Tom Hardy. Don't get me wrong. No, I think he would do a wonderful job, but I could see him doing like 3 movies and being like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see someone get, like you're saying, we all know who Tom Hardy is. We know who that fucker is. He's already gotten his chances. If Bond has always been kind of a jump starter for people. I would love for Golding to get that. That would be really cool. Idris Elba doesn't need a jump starter either. So
I think Batman's going to be Pattinson's, big thing.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't think it should be greedy. Batman and James Bond. Let's slow down. Leave some epicness for the rest of us.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, I think Michael Fassbender would be an interesting choice to see him take on kind of maybe an older Bond.
How about Daniel Kaluuya?
I keep forgetting he's British. He's so fucking talented. I keep forgetting he's a Brit.
I know.
He would be very interesting. I would be down for Daniel Kaluuya.
Well, he's a guy who could really do it for 5 or 6 movies. He's young.
Yeah, and would probably be willing to do it because that is a massive get for any.
It would change his entire career. It would change everything.
That'd be interesting. No Time to Die is going to come out next year. It's going to be Craig's last one for sure. They're going to want to reboot it in maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Bond is a franchise that doesn't stay around. It doesn't go away for very long. I think the biggest time between transfers was 5 years, and that was between Dalton and Brosnan. 89 to 95. That was 6 years. My mistake. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be somebody interesting. Maybe a newcomer will meet around that time. Who knows?
Yeah. No, it is such a fascinating thing because when it does happen, that this guy's going to be around for a little bit, or for the most part they are, and that's an exciting thing, to get a new Bond, a new guy at the helm for what seems to be for Connery, Moore, and Brosnan and Craig, over a decade of work. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think Moore still holds the record for the most films, which is Live and Let Die, Remember the Golden Gun, Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, View to a Kill. 7. Yeah, he's done 7.
7.
Yeah, he did 7. View to a Kill, he was in his early 60s. It's fucking gross. I stand by the idea that if A View to a Kill had been Timothy Dalton's first movie instead of Roger Moore's last movie, it would be very well received today.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's probably a good call.
You take out 60-year-old Roger Moore, and it's a very interesting Bond film that's very dark and very weird and so 80s. But the Bond girl is 28. It's fucking gross. Yeah. We'll get to that down the road.
Yeah, when we get to the more ones, yeah.
So Dr. No, back to that. There's a couple scenes that I think are pretty dumb. For example, the whole thing with the photographer. That whole thing seemed really kind of inconsequential and pointless. I mean, we never see her again.
It's kind of just filler, right?
Yeah, in a movie that doesn't need to be padded.
No, not at all. Not at all. You definitely could just not had that.
She's already not a very good actress, but then when she cuts Coral's face with the light bulb and he has no scar for the rest of the movie, despite drawing a lot of blood. I mean, come on.
Lazy.
Was she really just some freelance photographer? Was she with Spectre? Who the hell was she? Who knows? I also think that the plan to kill James Bond with a tarantula was incredibly stupid because tarantulas aren't venomous.
That scene, I was kind of okay, how long is this? I obviously I remember it, but I was like, how long are we really going for here with this tarantula? Because the music is just too bloody intense for what's happening. It's just fucking throw the spider on the ground. Come on, man.
Also, this is a plan coming from a highly brilliant scientist, a nuclear scientist. You'd think he'd know a better way to kill somebody than a spider that doesn't bite.
Yeah, you'd think, some kind of poison. You could come up with some concoction to kill him easily. No.
Or why wasn't the first plan Dent goes and shoots him in his cabana? That should have been the first plan.
No kidding.
I love that scene.
Yeah, I was about to say I love that bit. It's something that is just genius in all kinds of movies, right? You got the guy in the chair, even in stuff as like Mike Ehrmantraut does it in fucking Better Call Saul. It's still being used in television, this kind of stuff, and it's wonderful. It's one of my favorite things in movies when a guy gets tricked He's holding a gun, and it's like, no, fuck you. Turn around. I'm holding a gun on you now. Let's talk. It's one of my favorite action tropes of all time.
That's a Smith & Wesson, and you've had your 6. Pop! And then one in the back for good measure.
Yeah.
That's some cold-blooded shit.
Hell yeah, it is.
Oh, I love when we get those glimpses into the real side, like Bond's real personality. Because I believe that, the girls and the martinis and the elaborate, danger stunts, that's him compensating for a serious, like, emotional issue with death. I think he knows what he's supposed to do, and it kills him every single time. You can see it in his eyes. Like when he kills Dent, he's got this look of remorse that's just perfect. Like, I didn't want to, but I will if I have to.
Yeah.
For country. It's like, oof. Yeah. James Bond, I could write a whole fucking dissertation on James Bond and just how he represents, the sword of England. It's just so I've been thinking about this for a long time.
So cool. Bond is just this uber important character, and he very much is a guy who stays in the line of, this is business. I'm doing things I have to do because I'm good at them. Other people can't do them.
Yeah.
It's like this is just how it is.
Craig said it perfectly in Casino Royale. He has to be half monk, half hitman.
Yes.
Beautiful.
God, what a movie.
I know. Speaking of Casino Royale, Ursula Andress' iconic entrance in this film, coming up from the beach, Craig did that exact thing in Casino Royale.
Beautiful.
Yeah, only because there was a sandbar in his way and he couldn't swim over it, so he had to get up and walk. It was an accidental homage. So great.
It's perfect. There's magic in the air.
Damn straight. So I have a theory about Bond in regards to the radiation in this movie.
Okay.
So we see Bond swim around in quite a lot of irradiated water. And they, in full-on hazmat suits, when Dr. No's people grab him in Honey, they hose him off and, scrub him down with, water and make him not radiated. I think swimming in that radiated water made James Bond sterile. And that's why he is so, globetrotting on all these women in every film. He doesn't care.
Huh. Globetrotting. What a great what a great word for it. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've definitely never thought that before. How did that come up?
Literally this time I was watching it, I was like, that was really nuclear, and he fucked a lot of women. I just think, he knows he can't start a family, so he's like, fuck it, I'm going to live my way.
That's fair. I believe it.
And also another thing I didn't notice, so Bond takes down Dr. No's lair, his nuclear program. But in doing that, Bond causes a giant nuclear meltdown in the middle of the Caribbean. He fucked up an entire ecosystem and probably killed a lot of people with that explosion.
Yes.
And that never comes up again. I didn't think about that until this most recent viewing, and I'm like, holy shit. That's a dark way to end
fuck?
Yeah, I love when Dr. No just gets flipped into the boiling water and is just like, oh shit.
This is just happening. He just sinks.
He can't grab the pole, and Bond's just like, bye, Felicia. And it's awesome. Not the weirdest villain death in the Bond franchise by far. Not even close.
Still not the weirdest. No.
I think the winner is still Dr. Kananga and the shark pellet. That was some goofy shit that is just ridiculous. That would ever happen to anybody.
God damn it.
For those of you who haven't seen Live and Let Die, Bond forces a shark bullet thing into Kananga's mouth. It causes him to inflate and explode.
It's true, folks. Look it up.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Very bizarre. Any other thoughts on Dr. No you'd like to bring up?
For Dr. No, Not necessarily. I do think it is a good movie overall. I'd give it an 8.
Yeah.
But if you're not familiar with Bond and you don't know what you're getting into at all, which I anticipate you would if you're going back and watching this, it's got some rough stuff, and the stuff with a guy named Joseph Wiseman having yellow face. These things are not fun to revisit, but and this comes with a lot of art. The great but there's some wonderful stuff happening. The sequences, the chases, Connery, holy shit. It's worth your time. I still do think that Dr. No is worth people's time.
The weird thing is, despite this being the first Bond film, I would not use this film to introduce somebody to the James Bond franchise.
No. I'd still, like, especially for people our age, if they haven't seen anything, I'd still probably, for me, maybe you have a different answer. I'd still start with Casino Royale, just because it's more modern. It does age well through the 14 years that it's been around. That's definitely the one I'd start with. What about you?
I did start somebody on the Bond franchise, my cousin Ryan, who did our theme music. And
hell yes.
I don't know what inspired me to start with this one, but the one I went with was GoldenEye.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't really know why. It's a great movie, but Casino Royale makes more sense. But I don't know, maybe I just wanted him to see like the most fun the Bond franchise could get without being silly.
How old is he?
He's 18 now.
Yeah, so that's probably a good call.
Yeah. Weird. That was good. Oh, GoldenEye's an underrated movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun one. Definitely going to be a fun one to talk about on a full episode.
Yes, indeed. So here's some Filmgazm facts for Dr. No. Number 1. All of the sets and furniture were slightly smaller than they would be in reality so that Bond would look larger.
That's so weird because he's like Sean Connery's like 6'2" or something.
He's already 6'2". He's not Tom Cruise. Like, there's no reason they had to do this.
Whatever.
Number 2. Sean Connery is morbidly afraid of spiders. The shot of the spider in his bed was done with a sheet of glass between him and the spider, which can actually be seen in one shot in the movie. When this didn't look realistic enough, additional close-up scenes were reshot with stuntman Bob Simmons. Simmons reported that the tarantula crawling over Bond was the scariest stunt he had ever performed.
God damn.
And Bob Simmons would actually play a Bond villain in Thunderball. At the beginning of the movie, Bond fights the recently deceased, but not really, Spectre agent Colonel Jacques Bouvard. And that's Bob Simmons.
God, man, that is hilarious.
Cool. Number 3, author Ian Fleming wanted his cousin to play the role of Dr. No, and his cousin is Christopher Lee.
Holy shit.
Yeah, how fucking crazy is that? Ian Fleming and Christopher Lee were related.
That's some talent in the family.
Yeah, goddamn. And number 4, this is weird. In the original novel, the scene in which Bond escapes imprisonment in Dr. No's lab was a little different. Dr. No had an obstacle course set up to challenge Bond. At the end of the obstacle course, there is a seaside cage with a giant squid in it. The movie took all of this out. The obstacle course idea got lost in translation. And in the following scene, a sequence involving Honey Ryder being tied to the ground and attacked by a swarm of crabs was scrapped because many of the crabs arrived frozen, dead, and damaged. In the movie, as shown, water ended up being the threat instead. But there was supposed to be a whole crab attack, but all the crabs got shipped in dead. That's so fucked up.
God damn.
I, too, give Dr. No an 8. It's not my favorite of Connery's Bond films, but it set the tone for an epic spy franchise, and I think still holds up today as a pretty good watch.
Yeah, it's still very entertaining and worth your while, especially if you're a Bond fan.
Hell yeah. So to close out this week's show, we're going to refocus on the man himself, Sir Sean Connery, talk about some of our favorite roles of his career, and do our own top 5 of his career, of like between the two of us, our top 5 favorites.
Yes. Yeah. And of what we've seen, right? There's always going to be stuff we haven't seen of certain actors, and he's got some bangers. But from what we've seen, we've gathered 5, and I think we can come together, put our brains together here, and order them correctly.
Right off the bat, though, neither of us have seen The Name of the Rose, which I know is a big one for him. And regrettably, we were not able to get a hold of that one.
Yeah.
But we did our best. So where do you want to start with Sean Connery?
So I think the 5 we have selected would be his Oscar-winning performance from The Untouchables.
Yes.
His performance from the Indiana Jones third installment, Last Crusade. The Rock.
Yes.
The Hunt for Red October, which we both got to see very recently, and then Goldfinger.
Yes. I think that's a solid 5. Solid 5.
So Goldfinger is the one that represents the Bond, his Bond stuff, and then we got 4 other ones that are much different and showcase a lot of his awesome talent. So, what off the bat, is there one that for sure sits at 5 for you that you're like that for sure is the one on the back end?
Probably The Rock.
I agree. Yeah.
The character of John Mason is basically it's James Bond in exile. It's a great. In fact, there's a whole fan theory that he is James Bond in this movie, straight up.
Which is why it's so awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Watching it with that mentality, this movie becomes like even better. But I watched this last night, and The Rock is a fucking masterpiece of goofy action cheese, and it's fantastic. And Sean Connery does a great job. Seeing him and Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris go head to head is magic.
Yeah, 90s magic.
Yeah. Why don't you say we cut the chit chat a-hole? Just shit like that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's great now. That's definitely the number 5 one, I think. Like you said, it's got some cheese to it, but that movie, if you are a fan of it, you know what we're talking about. It just kind of has a special place in your heart. Yes. Love The Rock. I actually, over time, Ed Harris in that movie just kind of blows me away. He continually does that as I get older. I forget how many things he's in and how damn consistently frightening and frustrating he is.
Well, Francis X. Hummel is such a brilliantly written villain. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. He doesn't want to get anybody killed. All he wants is he has to scare the government into recognizing the deaths of the soldiers under his command and giving them the proper reparations. And that's a noble gesture. And even in the end, he's like, he doesn't want to launch the missiles. He never intended to launch the missiles. It was a bluff. But his men went fucking crazy. And I love Ed Harris in this movie. He's a very noble character, but he goes about it the wrong way.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, definitely. Like if we were making a top 5 Ed Harris, that would be in mine.
Yeah, probably me too. But he is a guy that you just forget. You look at his IMDb, you're like, whoa,
yeah, man,
this guy's done a lot of cool shit. Yeah. The Rock is awesome. It's definitely going to be a great Filmgazm episode one day.
Oh hell yeah. In number 4, I personally would put The Hunt for Red October.
Ooh, this is tough. Okay, so remaining would be The Hunt for Red October, Goldfinger, Untouchables, and Last Crusade.
I already have a pretty firm idea of what my top 5 are going to be.
Okay, so if that's number 4, then I would say Goldfinger's 3.
Yeah.
Okay. I see where you're going. Then what's number 2?
Untouchables.
Yes. Okay. I agree. I actually, I agree. We're both huge Indiana Jones fans, and that movie is damn near flawless. The third installment, all 3 of them are really. We don't count Crystal Skull around here. Untouchables is the Oscar win. He's wonderful. The Last Crusade, it kind of has the full Connery, the gauntlet. It has the gauntlet of Connery's, the flair, the charisma, all these different things going on at once, and he's so fucking good.
Before we go there, let's backtrack to Red October and talk a bit about that.
Of course. Yeah, we got to go. We got to go through all of these because I didn't realize we kind of slot these in this easily.
This is what we
agree.
do, man.
I agree with you. Red October and then Goldfinger being right there. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about October. We just both got to see it for the first time.
Yes, we did. We rented it because we felt we could not properly do an homage to Sean Connery without seeing this movie. This is considered one of his masterpieces, and it is a great espionage thriller. And I fucking hate espionage thrillers, but this was so good. Prior to this, I'd only seen Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit, which was fucking terrible. And so I was kind of hesitant. Like I never really looked into the Jack Ryan movies because I didn't really care. But
it's not really for me either. That kind of stuff.
He's like a bookish Jason Bourne who just kind of stumbles into shit. I don't really understand the appeal of Jack Ryan, but Hunt for Red October is a really cool role for Sean Connery. You know, Captain Marco Ramius, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
It's new, sorry, but he's a decorated Soviet submarine commander who sounds weirdly like he's from Scotland, and we just kind of ignore that with Sean Connery. Like, yeah, he can play a Russian, sure, why not?
Fuck it.
But he just randomly ups and leaves Russia with an experimental submarine, and the United States has no idea if he's trying to defect and come and help us by giving us a submarine that could destroy us, or if he's heading to the U.S. coast to launch weapons and start a war. We don't know. And there's no way to know, but like until it's too late. So they have to kind of make a decision here. Like, do we destroy that submarine or do we let this happen? It's so great. It's so tense. You don't know what the true intentions are until like the very end of the movie. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought he was brilliant. I loved the incredible cast of this movie.
Oh my gosh. Just like scene after scene. You're like, whoa, who's that? I know who that is.
I had no idea how many people were in this. I was blown away. And it's directed by John McTiernan, who also did Die Hard and Predator. So like, fuck yeah. And it's just
it's great. You know, Alec Baldwin, Scott Glenn, Sam Neill, James Earl Jones, Richard Jordan, Peter Firth, Tim Curry, Courtney B. Vance, Stellan Skarsgård, you know, just unbelievable. And it really keeps you on your toes because of that. And the tempo is wonderful. It definitely deserves to be here. And that's one that I think if I saw again, I could see rising. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an epic movie. And it's just, I think Sean Connery's performance is perfect. He plays this perfect blend of like, you like him, but you are pretty sure he's up to something. Like he's very dubious. And I love that. You can't tell what he's going to do. It's great. The first time watching this movie is special because you are just so in the dark and you're just like, what's going to happen? It's great. I was not expecting to like this one as much as I did. I'm very glad it ended up being a really good one.
Yeah. One of those early 90s, just kind of must sees.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. And now I want to check out Patriot Games. I actually want to look into the Jack Ryan movies now.
Of course.
Killer. So yeah, Hunt for Red October at number 4. Number 3, and this is going to divide some fans. We put Goldfinger. Connery is.
Go ahead. Go. Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead. And talk about why Goldfinger is the one. Yeah.
Okay. So Goldfinger is special for the Bond franchise. It's considered to be the one where the Bond movies stopped becoming just action movies and became the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
And Connery is very special in that one because it's the first time really where you see Bond in serious mortal peril. And, you know, with the laser to the dick. And it looks like it's going to happen. And he's having a very tough time convincing Goldfinger to turn off that laser. It's a great scene because it gets so close. And Goldfinger's like, you know, I don't need you. You got nothing to tell me. So fuck it. Bye. He says that immortal line, you know, Bond asked him, do you expect me to talk? Goldfinger says famously, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And it's a great moment. There's so many great moments in Goldfinger. The music's great. Connery's Bond is great going up against Odd Job in the Fort Knox. It's just, it's special. And it's his performance as Bond in there. He finally had it right. There's no like missteps in his performance as Bond. He knew exactly who this character was and how to play him. Yeah. And yeah, it's It's perfect. It's one of the few 10s I gave to the Bond franchise.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's only 2.
What's the other one?
Casino Royale.
Of course.
Yeah, Goldfinger.
Yeah, Goldfinger's the one. I think that makes the most sense. Even shout out to my good friend Matt. I asked him what's the Connery one. He was like, it's not my favorite, but it's got to be Goldfinger. He's like, that's the one where he's on his P's and Q's. So shout out to my man Matt, who lives in Waco and is the second biggest Bond fan I know behind Connor.
Right on. When I went to Jamaica, we were staying with a family friend, and he was a huge Bond fan, and we would quiz each other back and forth to see like who knows more. And I think like it was pretty matched up. Like he knew a lot, and I was only like 12, 13 years old at the time.
That's fantastic.
Those were the days. Yeah, number 2, we have one of the best and I think underappreciated gangster movies ever made, The Untouchables, 1987. Brian De Palma. Sean Connery plays police officer Jim Malone, who is walking the beat his whole life because he refuses to play ball with the mob. So they're keeping him at a place where they can manage him, and he becomes part of Elliot Ness's elite squad of untouchable cops to help take down Al Capone and his criminal regime in Chicago. Did I get that right? I think I did.
Hell yeah.
All right, take it away, Untouchables.
This film is quite special. Like you said, I don't think it gets the respect that, of course, the other big, gangster films get. And I don't quite get that. Brian De Palma, I think, is one of the more gutsy and ballsy directors that we have to take on a gangster film. And it deserves a reevaluation. And I very much want to do it on Oscar Sunday and base it around Connery, right? And maybe do some more films of him, because he just has this quality to do what he's doing in Hunt for Red October and then play fucking Malone, this cop. And how he does that within a 3-year span makes no sense to me. The guy's a rock star, and the next movie we have is right in that window too. Goddamn.
Oh yeah. There's no way, as much as I love James Bond, he will always be Professor Henry Jones to me.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the true finale to the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Yes.
And a just masterpiece of movie making. It's such an entertaining film. It's Harrison Ford and Sean Connery have such perfect chemistry. You totally believe they're father and son.
Yes.
And I love him because I love you get to see for the first like half hour of the movie, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, is talking about his father being this tyrant, this oppressive tyrant who just like never let him have fun, never talked to him, like didn't raise him. And then we meet Henry Jones and he's this kind of bumbling, goofy professor. It's like not at all what you expect from Indiana Jones's father. And yeah, there's a little bit of that sternness, but mostly he's just happy to be on an adventure with his son, finally getting the Holy Grail and fighting the Nazis. He's just, he's excited. He's happy and he's charming and it's so great. And it's the quintessential Sean Connery performance to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I know there's going to be folks out there. There's just stuff we haven't seen, and we both have, there's some that you've seen that I haven't. You got to watch League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah. The Anderson tapes I love. There's he's done all kinds of shit. But for you and I, it's Indiana Jones is kind of one of those things that connects our souls.
Yes.
And Connery is a huge, huge part of that. And for me, is what I remember, my first memories of him is that 100%. And it'll kind of always be that way. I'll never see him first as anything else. That might be silly, but that's how it went for me. And it sounds like that's how it went for you. And that's why it's number 1.
Yeah, straight up. Indiana Jones was one of the first franchises I fell in love with as a kid. It was Back to the Future, the original Star Wars, and Indiana Jones. That was my shit. And
yeah.
Indiana Jones, especially, Temple of Doom is the one I would watch a lot as a kid, which is weird because that's the darkest one. But weirdly enough, the end of Last Crusade would scare me when Donovan drinks from the wrong cup and he like dissolves. I couldn't watch that scene as a child, but I could easily watch.
Totally understand.
It's funny, like that freaked me out, but I could easily watch Mola Ram rip a dude's heart out and then just hold it.
Isn't it? Yeah. Oh my God. Well, and now we're so fucking desensitized that it's just so hard. It's gotten beyond me at this point.
It's out of control. It's out of control, straight up. It's gotten to the point where I'm recommending movies to people and being like, eventually thinking like, oh shit, that's dark. They shouldn't. I gotta take that back.
Yeah. They're gonna think differently of me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having to like, like with Julie, for instance, I'm helping her kind of develop some horror street cred and I'm recommending stuff. But at the back of my mind, I have to be like, don't scare her out of this.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing too wild at first, right? Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That's our personal top 5. Sean Connery at number 5. We have The Rock. Number 4, we have The Hunt for Red October. Number 3, we have Goldfinger. Number 2, The Untouchables. And number 1, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I apologize to you Highlander fans out there.
Hey, sorry about it, y'all. I can't do nothing about it. The Anderson Tapes is one of my favorite heist movies that I've seen, and Christopher Walken is really the reason I adore that movie. Oh my God.
I also would like to extend an honorable mention to The Man Who Would Be King.
Of course.
Very interesting movie. One I haven't seen since high school, and I only saw about 45 minutes of it, so I can't count it, regrettably. But also Time Bandits, which is a cool little, it's a quick performance, but it's really neat because when Terry Gilliam was writing the script, the character of Agamemnon was described as a Sean Connery looking type, which is just fucking beautiful that he ended up saying yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. He's just been, popping up in amazing films since '62. And yeah, I'm sad to see him go, but I'm glad he went out, the way he did.
Yes, indeed. A guy who, played this character, hung out in the Bahamas and, in locations like that. And there you go. He's hanging out and leaves Earth, hopefully peacefully. And his work, it's going to be very tough for his work to ever perish or leave our minds. So we'll always carry it on. And I cannot wait to do more Bond films. So next time we'll do From Russia with Love. I can't wait.
Yes, indeed. So thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this homage to one of cinema's greatest superstars. Next week, I am once again recording with Josh Allred as we go back into the world of Vincent Price. What happens when a brilliant scientist accidentally splices his DNA with that of a common housefly? 2 monsters are created, but only one is smart and strong enough to get what he wants. Tune in next week for the 1958 horror sci-fi cult classic, The Fly, starring the incomparable Vincent Price. And you can check out Rashomon and Akira Kurosawa on Oscar Sunday this weekend.
Oh,
and until then, epic. Until then, why don't you go shake yourself a martini, take the safety off your Walther PPK, and save the world along the way.